On a freezing, snowy night, a handsome guy in a suit was being chased. As he ran near a small house, a beautiful, drunk girl suddenly held an umbrella over him. Then, she even took the initiative and kissed him, creating a super seductive scene. But it was all just a memory. A farm boy named Ming Yu was cutting grass when he heard a loud bang in the distance. At this moment, there was a broken-down car on the hillside. Inside the car was the young heiress of a wealthy family, Shi Yin. Just before, news about her love scandal with an actor broke out on TV, but Shi Yin didn't care. She figured this was a trick by the Chui Corporation because they were fighting over a piece of land with her family's Yi Corporation. Before long, people from the Chui Corporation arrived and captured Shi Yin. As they were about to take her away, luckily, Ming Yu showed up and rescued her. He hid her in the bushes, and thanks to that, she avoided being caught by the henchmen. That night, the two of them took shelter from the rain in the wooden house. However, due to the car accident, Shi Yin had lost her memory. Because of this, Ming Yu had to let her stay at the wooden house temporarily. It was late at night, and the two of them were getting ready for bed. However, without knowing when it started, they gradually moved closer to each other and finally ended up holding each other tightly. The next morning, the female MC Chi Ran arrived at Guyin Village to do a live broadcast. During the live stream, she unexpectedly discovered Shi Yin and Ming Yu hugging each other. Right after that, the whole village came to watch. It was truly a classic drama watching scene. However, Chi Ran and everyone else called Shi Yin the village girl, Xiao Fun, which made the story more complicated. In the past, Xiao Fun had been bullied a lot by her family, and because she suffered so much oppression, she had run away for many years. Hearing this, Shi Yin, who was pretending to have amnesia, felt extremely bored and helpless. Then, she went into the house, but within seconds, Xiao Fun's stepmother, holding a broom, arrived and started scolding her terribly. However, Shi Yin pretended to fight back, but actually hugged Xiao Fun's stepmother tightly. Even so, the stepmother demanded that she go to the river to wash clothes and do housework. Not long after, Shi Yin ripped the pants while washing, and her stepmother splashed water on her. Luckily, Ming Yu was there in time to hold an umbrella over her, or else Shi Yin would have been in big trouble. Right after that, the younger brother was sitting in the yard studying English, but he was mocked by a streamer across from him and didn't understand anything. Shi Yin stepped in, directly scolding the streamer. Shi Yin had completely changed the image of Xiao Fun's previous suffering. Before long, the stepmother was arguing with Shi Yin again. However, the girl wasn't scared at all. Instead, she criticized her stepmother and stepbrother for taking over her family's house. Shi Yin then easily overpowered the weak stepbrother. Seeing this, the stepmother switched her target to Ming Yu, claiming that he had taken advantage of Xiao Fun's body. But Ming Yu wasn't about to let her slander him freely. Right after that, an uncle also came to Ming Yu's defense. So, the stepmother demanded a bride price. Ming Yu quickly offered 200,000 yuan, and everything would be exchanged according to the agreement. Not long after, Shi Yin and Ming Yu went to tour the farm. It turned out that Ming Yu was a small landlord with very strong resources. This made Shi Yin change her view of him. The two of them walked around the village, but right then, a group of people in black clothes came looking for Shi Yin. Ming Yu quickly forced her to lie down in a pile of straw to hide, and luckily escaped their search. That night, Ming Yu was at home, holding a medal with a 9-headed snake symbol. He suspected that the people chasing Shi Yin were connected to this organization. Late at night, Ming Yu gave Shi Yin a ring. However, Shi Yin didn't dare to accept it because she didn't want to get married so quickly. But actually, the ring Ming Yu brought was a warning ring. This made Shi Yin extremely confused and embarrassed. A new day began, and the two of them got up early to catch fish. However, Shi Yin was too clumsy, so Ming Yu had to take her hand and guide her step by step. After catching fish, they went up the mountain together to pick tea. At this time, Shi Yin used the warning ring to ask for help again, and this time Ming Yu had to take her hand and teach her how to pick tea. Although Shi Yin's practical skills were terrible, she had very extensive knowledge and could help the needs of the villagers. This made Ming Yu begin to doubt her true identity. After taking a shower, Shi Yin activated the warning ring again to call Ming Yu, but this time it was only because she felt hungry. Her constant use of the ring to call for help made Ming Yu extremely annoyed, and he decided to put her in her place right then and there. However, this intimate scene was caught by Chi Ran and the village head's son, creating an extremely awkward situation. Not long after, all four of them sat down to eat dinner together. Thanks to Ming Yu's delicious cooking, Shi Yin ate heartily, even eating as if she were very hungry. In the middle of the night, Shi Yin secretly called her father, reporting that she had successfully infiltrated Guyin Village. A new day began, and Shi Yin continued to pick tea with Ming Yu. Now, she was becoming more and more skillful and agile. However, when she brought grass out to feed the sheep, she discovered that the little lamb was missing. Shi Yin searched all night, but luckily, she finally found the lamb deep in the bushes. However, in the dark of night, Xian suddenly remembered the scene of being kidnapped in the past. Right at this moment, Mingyu appeared in time. He was like a ray of light shining into the darkness, helping her escape her fear. This scene reminded Xian that it seemed like a young man just like this had saved her from kidnappers before. She was moved to tears right then and there. Knowing that she hadn't eaten dinner, Mingyu lit a fire and cooked her a pot of soup. However, Xian accidentally ate an undercooked mushroom, which made her become dazed. In her daze, she suddenly kissed Mingyu on the lips, creating a surprisingly sweet moment. As Mingyu carried her home, the henchman in black also appeared to chase her. But thanks to his skillful techniques, Mingyu quickly took them down easily. The next day, Xian woke up, the sweet memory from the night before still clear in her mind, making her extremely embarrassed. Luckily, Mingyu assured her that they hadn't done anything too extreme. Afterwards, Mingyu and Xian went for a walk around the village's big market. The girl started with the balloon shooting game, but her skills were so poor that she had to ask Mingyu to hold her hand and guide her again. This time, she was able to hit the target. Mingyu then used his masterful shooting skills to burst a series of balloons, and he won Xian a large teddy bear, which made her extremely happy. Right after that, the two of them went to the tea stall of the village head's son. Due to poor sales, Xian decided to help them improve. She asked the village head's son to draw beautiful pictures, while Ran was made up as a beauty to attract customers. Thanks to this combination, plus Mingyu providing free tea for everyone to try, the stall quickly attracted a large number of visitors. It was all thanks to Xian's efforts. However, people from the Yi Corporation suddenly appeared for an inspection. Xian quickly tried to hide, but this man completely disregarded the village's tea, and his only purpose in coming here was to make money. When checking the list, Xian realized that this man wasn't one of the high-ranking executives of the Yi Corporation. He was a fraud. Not long after, the fake manager came to cause trouble, but Xian exposed him on the spot. Too embarrassed, the fake manager was forced to retreat. Even so, the villagers began to have a bad impression of the Yi Corporation, making the acquisition of the land in Guyan village more difficult. Not long after, a group of people in black clothes arrived in Guyan village, distributing flyers looking for someone on the orders of their boss. After receiving the flyer, the stepmother immediately asked about the story of the girl in the picture, Xiaofan. When she learned that Xiaofan was the boss's fiancée, the stepmother immediately acted friendly and declared that the two sides were family. She was too ambitious and wanted to profit from this. The stepmother led the boss everywhere to look for the person. At this time, Xian saw them and recognized that the boss in the suit was Zi Hao of the Chui Corporation. Xian didn't want to be followed by him, so she immediately changed her appearance. Right after that, Xian appeared in the guise of the village girl, Xiaofan. Because of her overly rustic appearance, Zi Hao decided to temporarily take the girl back for further investigation. Luckily, Mingyu intervened in time. He claimed to be Xiaofan's fiancé, leaving Zi Hao with no choice but to retreat. In the afternoon, Mingyu and everyone else began to harvest wheat, but Zi Hao was still watching from afar. This made Xian very worried. She continued to play the role of the village girl, working in the fields while gossiping. Zi Hao began to wonder if he had the wrong person. When the two of them returned home, Xian unexpectedly discovered a gunshot wound on Mingyu's side. This reminded her of the bodyguard who had saved her before. While Mingyu was showering, Xian intended to give him a towel. She deliberately threw the things up high to attract attention, but Mingyu did not come to her rescue, which let her fall in a silly way. Not long after, Xian continued to come up with tricks to find out about Mingyu's wound. Finally, she saw the gunshot scar. However, Mingyu couldn't reveal the truth. Instead, he produced a report claiming it was a wound caused by a steel piercing, concealing the entire true story. Right after, Xian was pruning flowers on the balcony when Mingyu suddenly approached. He made a remark that Xiaofan was left-handed, causing Xian to immediately switch hands to trim the branches. Actually, Xian had also prepared in advance. She had asked the female streamer Ran about many childhood stories of Xiaofan to better impersonate her. At lunchtime, Mingyu made Xian a portion of pineapple rice. She ate it with great relish, but this was actually a test by Mingyu because he knew that Xiaofan was allergic to pineapple. Sure enough, Xian began to show signs of discomfort. Mingyu then applied medicine to her. Thanks to this, his suspicion of Xian gradually decreased, and the two of them also had more and more close contact. The truth is that Xian had taken medicine beforehand to cause the allergy, showing that both of them were very cautious and calculating in their every action. A new day began, and the village head's son called Mingyu to go harvest tea. Afterwards, the stepbrother came to apologize to Xian, bringing tea and serving her attentively. However, his real purpose was to invite Xian to attend his father's death anniversary. Soon after, the three members of Xiaofan's family arrived at the ceremony. However, here, Xiaofan's stepmother and stepbrother began to demand the remaining part of the bride price. They locked Xiyin in a secluded room, and the stepmother even stole her warning ring. On the other side, Mingyu and the others frantically searched for Xiyin, but without any clues. Meanwhile, Zihao knew very well that at night, Xiyin would be affected by post-traumatic stress disorder, so he planned to go to Xiaofen's stepmother's house to check. Xiyin was now alone and panicked, recalling the memories of being kidnapped. If the bodyguard hadn't appeared to save her then, she would have been in great danger. As her condition worsened, luckily, Mingyu arrived in time. He picked her up and took her outside, leading her near the lighthouse where the gentle light shone. Here, Mingyu vowed that he would protect her. Feeling safe, Xiyin closed her eyes, and Mingyu seized the opportunity, bravely kissing her on the lips. That night, the two of them had a romantic time together. The new day came, and they both woke up early to feed the chickens, looking like a real couple. However, the village head's son and some others came at this time to check if they were acting. Ran didn't hesitate to ask about the first time the two of them kissed. But Mingyu and Xiyin gave two different answers. One said 3 years ago, the other said 3 days ago, revealing their clear lack of coordination. The second question was about the most recent kiss. To prevent Xiyin from saying something she shouldn't, Mingyu immediately took the initiative to kiss her in front of everyone, making them leave in envy at this public display of affection. Even so, Zihao still didn't give up on inquiring about Xiaofen's whereabouts in the village. To completely cut off his hopes, Mingyu appeared looking dashing and, together with Xiyin, who was disguised as Xiaofen, publicly showed affection. They even took a couple photos, further increasing the intimacy. Zihao had to find Xiyin and tell her about how he had secretly loved her since childhood, but Xiyin absolutely didn't want to pay attention to him. Night fell, and Mingyu met with Xiyin. The two of them began to talk about their first loves 3 years ago. Xiyin suddenly became jealous of the girl Mingyu mentioned. However, when Mingyu suddenly encountered an emergency, he immediately ran outside. At this time, Xiyin happened to see a familiar piece of jewelry. She discovered that it was the item she had lost 3 years ago. In an instant, she remembered that snowy night when the two of them had passionate moments together near the small house. And that was also when the jewelry was lost. Could the mysterious bodyguard 3 years ago have been Mingyu? Meanwhile, Mingyu was suddenly attacked by a group of men in black and was knocked down. Worried about him, Xiyin rushed into the forest to search and luckily found him in time. She took Mingyu home and lay beside him, quietly watching over him all night. The next morning, Xiyin gathered the villagers to ask about the rental price of the tea garden and calculate how much money she needed to buy it back. Meanwhile, Mingyu had secretly taken down 2 men in black and gathered related information. In another turn of events, Zihao brought flowers to block Xiyin's path. He observed her soft hands and suspected that she wasn't a village girl. Just as Xiyin was about to be exposed, Mingyu appeared, looking dashing and confident, speaking up to protect her. Zihao boldly declared that he would buy the entire hill and drive Mingyu out of the game. However, the manager beside him announced that the entire piece of land here belonged to Mingyu, putting Zihao in an embarrassing situation. Mingyu had successfully won Xiyan's heart. That night, Xiyin started working on preparing the bidding plan. Just then, Mingyu came to check on the situation, making her panic and rush to hug him. Taking this opportunity, Xiyin quickly hid the bidding documents. Right at this moment, the village head appeared, and the three of them began a discussion. The village head announced that the village was about to hold a banquet, and he needed Xiyin and Mingyu to collaborate on a performance for this event. A new day began, and the village head stood in front of the house, burning the paintings of his son, Jiang Cheng. He hoped that his son would do something more useful, but Jiang Cheng refused to listen, and he burst into tears. Beside him, Ran was comforting Jiang Cheng. Seeing this, Xiyin and Mingyu decided to take advantage of the upcoming banquet to help Jiang Cheng have the opportunity to showcase his painting talent. Right after that, Xiyin and Mingyu began practicing for their dance performance. However, Mingyu didn't know how to dance, so Xiyin incorporated the movements of farmers' labor into the dance. Thanks to this, Mingyu gradually became more proficient and looked very professional. A few days later, the banquet officially took place. It opened with the village head's performance. He performed a bold and seductive Latin dance, surprising everyone and making it impossible to look away. Then it was Xiyin and Mingyu's turn with a hot dance. The two of them coordinated perfectly, attracting everyone's attention. Next was Jiang Cheng's painting performance. Under the melodious music of the instrument, he painted a beautiful picture of father-son love. Along with the enthusiastic encouragement of the audience, the village head finally decided to support Jiang Cheng to continue pursuing his dream of painting. The two of them hugged each other emotionally, creating a very touching moment for everyone. A new day began, and the village head talked about the upcoming tea exhibition and hoped that Mingyu could help the village promote the product. Right after that, Mingyu started designing the logo for the product, and the group of 4 worked together to package the tea. As the tea packages were completed one by one, everyone got into the pickup truck to attend the exhibition. On the way, the feelings between Jang Chung and Chi Ran unexpectedly progressed. Due to the shaking of the car, the two accidentally hugged each other awkwardly. Night fell, and the group finally arrived at the exhibition venue. But because everyone looked disheveled after the long journey, the security guards wouldn't let them in. Xian planned to reveal her true identity to impress the guards, while Mingyu clashed with them, causing the situation to almost escalate into a fight. Just then, Xian pretended to reveal herself in her splendid appearance, appearing like a goddess, stunning everyone, including Mingyu. Thanks to her appearance, their group was allowed into the hall. However, right after that, Xian returned to the image of the village girl Xiao Fun, making Mingyu feel helpless. When they entered the hall, Xian showed off her tea-making skills, using the village's own tea leaves to hold a tea tasting session. Everyone, after tasting, praised the quality of the tea, making the atmosphere at the event more lively. Xian and Mingyu also didn't forget to take advantage of the time to dance in the middle of the hall, making their feelings for each other grow deeper. While holding Xian in his arms, Mingyu couldn't resist and asked about her true identity, but Xian still refused to reveal the truth. Not long after, the villagers came to thank Xian because thanks to her, they had received many large orders. Night came, and when the two of them returned home, Mingyu took the initiative to dry Xian's hair. In a space filled with romance, they kissed. Afterwards, Xian said that she could reveal the truth, but she needed a little more time. The next day, everyone held a festival to thank the mountain god to celebrate the tea sales from the night before. Xian, of course, became the center of attention at the ceremony. Everyone took turns offering incense to the mountain god and cheering together in the tea hills to celebrate the harvest. The atmosphere of the ceremony was lively and powerful. At noon, the village head invited Xian to speak. With her cleverness and intelligence, she gave all the praise and credit to the people of the village. In a space filled with emotion, Mingyu prepared to propose on the spot. But right at this moment, Xiaofan's stepmother suddenly appeared. She announced that she had called the real Xiao Fan, and the girl standing in front of them was actually Xian. Then, she also revealed Xian's real purpose, to buy the entire tea garden. The truth was exposed, and Xian was criticized by everyone. However, Mingyu was still willing to listen to her explanation. But Xian admitted that everyone was right. She initially came here for commercial purposes, but later genuinely developed feelings. Even so, Mingyu couldn't accept this deception and decided to break up with her. At sunset, Zihao intended to take Xian away, and she sincerely apologized to everyone. However, Chi Ran and the village head still acknowledged Xian's contributions and help to the village. The emotional relationship that everyone had built with her still existed. And just like that, Xian moved to live at Chi Ran's house. However, whenever she went out, the villagers avoided her, not wanting to interact with her. In a flash, Xian remembered the night before when she was drunk, walking all over the street and causing a scene, looking just like a shrewish woman. This made her extremely uncomfortable. While she was feeling sad, Zihao came and invited Xian to go out. At the same time, Chi Ran and Zhang Cheng went to see Mingyu and showed him the pictures of Xian with Zihao. This made Mingyu extremely worried. He immediately ran to the date location to intervene. Zhang Cheng and Chi Ran planned to use Zihao as a bridge to help Xian and Mingyu get back together. Due to Mingyu's hasty and worried arrival, Xian rejected Zihao's confession. That night, Xian took the initiative to find Mingyu, pulling him aside to ask about his true feelings. However, Mingyu remembered the mission he had to carry out and ultimately didn't answer, causing the two of them to miss each other once again. The next day, Mingyu took the initiative to go to the bar to find Xian. He apologized and hoped she could give him a chance. However, Xian still didn't want to go home. Chi Ran and Zhang Cheng helped once again, pushing the two of them out of the bar so they could face each other. When it started to rain, the two of them had no choice but to share an umbrella and walk out in the rain. Right after that, Mingyu used the finger-snapping trick again to turn off the artificial rain. However, Xian had already known that it was just a trick with the artificial rain system, so she wasn't very interested. Zhang Cheng came to help Mingyu by pretending that he had a fever. This news quickly reached Xian's ears, causing her and everyone else to immediately visit him. As soon as Xian entered the room, Mingyu hugged her tightly. He told her about the dangers his family was facing and wanted her to face them with him. However, Xian still thought he was deceiving her. In this situation, the village head had to use his last resort. Night came, and a group of men in black surrounded Xian, but at the critical moment, Mingyu appeared in time and rescued her. Mingyu's words matched what she had heard from the mysterious bodyguard in the past, and she immediately realized that he was the one who had saved her before. The two of them hugged each other tightly, finally realizing the truth. When they got home, Mingyu took Xian into a secret room, where he displayed the medals and honors he had earned while working as a bodyguard. Seeing all this, Shi Yin remembered everything, realizing that their meeting was a fateful coincidence. As for why Mingyu retreated to live in the countryside, it was because his companion, Qiu Shui, had sacrificed himself while trying to save a friend during a mission. After that, Mingyu pretended to be captured, and while being tortured, he managed to escape and take down all the enemies. These memories were full of pain and darkness, causing him to decide to give up everything to live a secluded life. But now all those bad things were over. The most important thing now was the feelings that he and Shi Yin had for each other. And just like that, the two of them officially confirmed their relationship. A new day began, and they both wore their best clothes, preparing for their first date seriously. However, in the distance, Xiaofan's stepmother suddenly appeared and showed off a large gold bracelet, making everyone feel strange. This could be an act of bribery from the president of the Chui Corporation. Mingyu began to suspect that the Hydra organization and the car accident were also related to this person. In another place, old Master Chui was scolding his subordinates for being ineffective. At this time, the subordinate revealed the truth that Mingyu was the mysterious bodyguard who had destroyed their overseas base. Zihao was also present, and his father forbade him from continuing to approach Shi Yin because the Chui and Yi families were sworn enemies. Therefore, Zihao came up with a new plan. Right after that, Shi Yin received an urgent call reporting that the Yi Corporation was in trouble. The two of them immediately dressed formally and quickly went to the corporation's headquarters to jointly resolve the crisis. When she returned to her luxurious office, Shi Yin felt relieved and blurted it out, but Mingyu immediately stopped her because there might be a listening device in the room. As expected, Mingyu discovered this. When things temporarily calmed down, the two of them were about to kiss, but outside, several employees were peeking through the door. Shi Yin had to suppress her emotions, introducing Mingyu to everyone as her bodyguard. Right after that, Shi Yan's father summoned her and announced that the shareholders would hold a meeting, but the location was chosen at the Chui Corporation. This showed that the shareholders had switched to supporting the Chui Corporation. Not only that, but Father Yu was also embarrassed to discover that his daughter's bodyguard was actually her boyfriend, creating an extremely awkward situation. At the shareholders' meeting, President Chui was using strong-arm tactics to force the shareholders to transfer their shares to him. Just as the situation became tense, Shi Yin arrived in time, determined not to let President Chui take control of the Yi Corporation. She quickly presented a plan to protect the company, and the shareholders, after seeing it, refused to sign the share transfer papers. However, President Chui didn't give up easily. He immediately ordered his people to attack everyone. Mingyu rushed in to help, but faced dozens of strong men. Luckily, he quickly took them all down and broke into the meeting room, rescuing Shi Yin in time and taking her out safely. After returning home and thinking about Mingyu being injured by a knife wound, Shi Yin rushed to see him shower. When he saw her, Mingyu immediately pulled her into the bathroom, and the two of them shared sweet kisses, creating an unbelievably romantic moment. A new day began, and the two of them continued to cling to each other. Mingyu even helped Shi Yin apply lipstick and change clothes. Their feelings for each other grew deeper and deeper. However, when they arrived at the company, Mingyu immediately returned to the cold demeanor of a bodyguard. At this time, many girls came and attacked him with flirting tricks, forcing Shi Yin to quickly pull him into the office. Here, the two of them almost lost control of their emotions, but luckily, Mingyu finally managed to control the situation. Afterwards, Shi Yin began to follow an employee in the company. This person had installed the listening device earlier. He also stole the plan to acquire Guyan Village. Shi Yin intended to keep the evidence to report the incident, but he discovered that she was following him and immediately intended to use force. Just then, Mingyu appeared in time and stopped this man. It turned out that the person behind it all was President Chui Ming, who was increasing the pressure of the attack. In another development, Shi Yan's father met with Mingyu privately. He wanted to break off the relationship between the two of them because he thought Mingyu was just an ordinary security guard. However, Mingyu revealed his farm, but even so, Shi Yan's father was still not satisfied. That night, while Mingyu was showering, Shi Yan visited him, thinking that he had lost all his will to fight. But actually, Mingyu just wanted to be closer to her. Finally, Mingyu received the approval of Shi Yan's father, and the two of them could finally be together peacefully. They immediately gave each other sweet, happy kisses. A new day began, and the signing ceremony for the cooperation to acquire Guyan Village was taking place enthusiastically. Shi Yan planned to cooperate with the villagers instead of simply buying the land. She offered very favorable cooperation terms, no longer a one-way purchase, but a mutual sharing of profits. When Mingyu saw this, he signed the agreement, and the villagers were also persuaded to cooperate. Thanks to this, Shi Yan achieved great success. The next day, Shi Yan saw many people in the distance and thought they were coming to interview her. However, all those female fans were surrounding Mingyu. It turned out that Mingyu's previous defeat of the guards had attracted the attention of the entire social network. However, Mingyu only had feelings for Yin, and their relationship remained very strong. The two of them then wore traditional costumes from the Republican era and acted, and they also took advantage of the live broadcast to promote the tea of Guyin Village. This form of selling through live streaming was very new and helped sell a lot of tea in a short time. That night, the two of them danced together in a romantic setting. The scene was so sweet that even fireworks seemed to want to burst forth to congratulate them. The village head's son, Jiang Chung, took this opportunity to confess to Qiran. This couple finally hugged each other in happiness. This scene was truly sweet and full of emotion. The next day, Mingyu and Qian woke up early to make tea together. The daily life of the two of them was very interesting and full of joy. After packing the tea into boxes, Mingyu returned to the room to kiss Qian. Suddenly, at this moment, the villagers arrived and interrupted. They were happy because Qian had helped the whole village have the opportunity to get rich. Even the stepbrother who clung to his stepmother before had changed and become kind. However, bad news suddenly arrived. The tea garden was being destroyed by pests. The customers who had heard this news came to cause trouble. Before, they had deliberately signed a contract with trap clauses, taking advantage of the village head's lack of understanding. Now, Mingyu and Qian were facing a delivery crisis. Meanwhile, Zihao came to Qian and offered to invest capital to help. But Mingyu appeared in time and asserted his claim, making Zihao angry. He swore that he would take both Qian and the tea garden from Mingyu. A few days later, thanks to preventive measures, the pest infestation was brought under control. However, the amount of tea harvested was still only half of the delivery requirement. Mingyu asked the village head to make an announcement on the loudspeaker, borrowing tea from households in the area. Even so, the amount of tea was still not enough to meet the customers' demands. Luckily, by nightfall, many villagers had brought tea to help. Thanks to everyone's contribution, the amount of tea finally met the distributor's requirements, causing the two greedy customers to suffer a great loss. Qian and Mingyu decided to definitively terminate the cooperation with them. However, the real person behind this incident was an underground force. The two bosses had been forced by others to act that way, and the person behind all was none other than Zihao. Right after that, Mingyu and Qian went to see Zihao. At this point, Zihao no longer pretended. He frankly declared in front of everyone that he wanted both Qian and the tea garden. Mingyu immediately stopped him and told him to get lost. But clearly, Zihao wouldn't give up easily and would definitely continue to attack. In that situation, everyone had to quickly focus on developing Guyin Village. But just as they were in the development phase, Qian received bad news about the Yi Corporation. Rumors that the Yi Corporation was about to go bankrupt spread online, causing the company's stock price to plummet. Qian was forced to step up and manage and stabilize the situation, reducing market panic. During this time, Zihao came to Qian again. He knew very well that the Yi Corporation was facing a financial crisis and once again proposed marriage to her, where he would take this opportunity to buy all of Ye's shares at a low price. Faced with Zihao's threat, Qian couldn't control herself and slapped him. However, Zihao was still confident that she would eventually have to come begging for his help. In the evening, Mingyu decided to give all his assets to Qian to help her overcome the crisis. This action showed that Mingyu was truly a trustworthy person. After that, the two of them together created a love pact and buried it in the ground, hoping that their feelings would last forever. However, Qian still had to face the difficult reality that she might be forced to ally with Zihao, because only he had enough financial strength to help the Yi Corporation overcome this crisis. The romantic evening passed, and a challenging future still awaited them. A new day began, and Qian left Mingyu without saying goodbye. She really had to marry Zihao, but at the crucial moment, Mingyu used a drone flying overhead to confess to her, vowing to overcome all difficulties with her until the end of the road. This moment made Qian cry because she was so moved. Not long after, Zihao came to Qian, reminding her of her position as a future bride. However, Mingyu appeared and, without saying a word, quickly defeated Zihao's security team. But Qian coldly said that she didn't know him. Right after that, the security team acted again and finally subdued Mingyu. Zihao pulled Qian away arrogantly. When he returned to the office, Zihao went to check the financial contract with the legal department, while Qian secretly installed surveillance cameras in the room to gather evidence against the Chui Corporation, proving that they had slandered the Yi Corporation. However, surprisingly, Zihao had already installed cameras beforehand, making Qian's plan useless. At night, Zihao lured Mingyu to a grassy area, then handed him over to the Hydra organization to be knocked unconscious. Now, both Qian and Mingyu were surrounded by a group of people. Zihao continued to attack Mingyu and admitted that he had killed Qiu Shui, and 3 years ago, the one who had kidnapped Qian was also him. Zihao was actually the leader of the Hydra organization. However, just as Zihao was being arrogant and complacent, Mingyu suddenly broke free from his confinement and counterattacked. Right then, Qi ran and the others also appeared to help. It turned out that from beginning to end, they had been playing a game. It turned out that the day before, Mingyu and Xiyan had discussed and planned together. Mingyu's capture today was just part of their strategy. Quickly, the group captured Zihao, and Mingyu also took down his security team. Finally, the two of them had a peaceful time after the events. However, at this moment, Mingyu collapsed from losing too much blood. Luckily, in the end, the Chui Corporation received its just punishment. Xian's father quickly came to her to share the joy of victory, and he even agreed to let her go to the village to help develop the tea field. On that special day, Xian put on a wedding dress and went to the tea garden where she met Mingyu again. The girl no longer kept her usual gentleness, but took the initiative to confess to Mingyu. She even prepared a lovely cartoon drawing to prompt his proposal. Faced with Xian's affectionate and sincere actions, Mingyu immediately grabbed a bouquet of flowers and called a drone to bring the engagement ring down from the sky. That's right, Mingyu wanted to confess to her himself. He knelt down and proposed. When Xian agreed, many people immediately appeared around them to cheer them on. In that romantic space, they shared a sweet kiss. And at the end of the story, Xian subtly hinted to Mingyu that she was pregnant. As soon as he heard this, Mingyu couldn't hide his joy, a silly smile clearly showing on his face. This couple truly made people admire them, and they would surely have a long and happy life. The film ends here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss out on more amazing videos. For now, goodbye and until next time.